Buddy, put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That was just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Across the world on the interwebs at MichaelDukesShow.com. And across the face of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or translator. Good morning and welcome to the program. It is the Wednesday. So confused. It is the Wednesday edition of the Michael Dukes Show. Hi, how are you? Thanks for coming in and joining us this morning. Just another beautiful day here in paradise, although it is a little cloudy here today. I ain't complaining, man. Bring on the rainstorm. That's all I'm saying right now. Just bring on a little bit of rain to see if we can keep the fires and stuff tamped down across the state of Alaska. We could use a little bit of that wet stuff right now. I would not be complaining at all if we got a little bit of that stuff around here today. But just another beautiful day, and we've got a full boat ready to jump in and get on with it. Just a note this morning, for those of you who'd like to participate in the simulcast as well, for some reason Facebook will not. For some reason Facebook will not participate today. I don't know what's going on, but it's not working. It's not working. So that's okay. We're still broadcasting on YouTube and on, of course, the radio here. So you should have enough. You should have enough places to go and things to do and people to see to make sure that it all works. All right. So today we're going to be talking with a couple different guests. In hour two, we'll start backwards here. In hour two, we're going to be talking with Sarah Vance, who is the GOP state rep for down there in District 31. And we're going to have a conversation with her about, well, pretty much everything that you wanted in the world. Whatever we want to talk about, that's what we're going to talk. Oh, we're also on Twitch. I'm sorry. We're on YouTube and Twitch this morning. Somebody just said something. But we're going to talk with Sarah Vance. That's going to be in hour two today. Everybody's going to be kind of gearing up for campaign season. And so hopefully we're going to see a lot more of the candidates that are going to be available to us here in the next, few weeks. I mean, you got to think about it. We're coming up here in August on the big primary, although it doesn't really matter much except for maybe for the gubernatorial election. But I expect to see a lot of political faces around here on the program here in the next few weeks. So we'll be diving into that. Sarah Vance is going to be joining us. In hour one this morning, we're going to talk with Antwon Williams, who is with the 365 campaign. And we're going to get some talk with a guy who is, and I'm trying to get and maybe we'll ask him about this specifically, trying to get the rundown on exactly what is, he owns, or he is in charge of all the official Save America merchandise booths at the Trump rallies around the country. And so he works and goes from state to state with the Trump organization. And so we'll get the full scoop from him on that and what's happening. And if you're planning on attending the rally this weekend, and if you got tickets, and if you didn't, what's the skinny on that? So we'll talk about that with Antwon Williams here in just a few moments. And get kind of the straight dope on everything that's happening there. Meanwhile, we'll keep the headlines rolling and keep things going on, and give you the full scoop on everything that's going on around the state, which shouldn't take long. Based on it's kind of been a slow, I mean, I think one of the biggest things for many of you, of course, July is always the month for those of you who like to go out there and do some salmon slaying and things like that to fill the freezer, and the king salmon run in the Kenai right now is not looking great for the king salmon, because the Alaska Department of Fish and Game has basically prohibited the taking of any king salmon for personal use. The fishery opened on Sunday and is going to run through the end of the month, July 31st. You could fish from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. each day, and you can get a upper Cook Inlet personal use permit and a sports fishing license. Those are the two things that you need to have. Last month, Fish and Game announced that because of the runs and the returns of king salmon, and because they have lagged behind, that you may not keep or even remove from the water any king salmon. Any king salmon caught incidentally during the Kenai River dip net fishery may not be removed from the water and must be released immediately. So get good at recognizing which fish is which and which brand of salmon you got in there, and make sure you only take what is what you're allowed, and no king salmon at all in the fisheries this summer, which some people will be really upset about that. I'm waiting for a little bit more of a decisive and cohesive look at what we can do to help bolster the salmon. I mean, we're looking at shortages in salmon runs across the state, not just in the Kenai. Of course, all the villages, are having problems being able to get enough salmon to sustain themselves as well. And I would like to have, and I'll be honest, I'll be the first to tell you that I am definitely not 100% up to speed on the whole salmon issue, because it's not my thing. I mean, I have fished, and I have fished, but it's probably been 20 years since I threw a fishing line in the water. It's just not something that I normally do. I was raised with it, but it's not something that I've been keeping up on. So it would be, it's something that we need to bring an expert in on to have some discussions on. So maybe that's something else we can talk about as well, or have a whole discussion maybe with some of the gubernatorial candidates on it. I mean, I know Charlie Pierce has been making an issue about this. I haven't heard much from the other candidates on this issue specifically. Granted, it's Charlie's backyard, so he obviously would have a dog in that fight, but interesting to say the least. Got a question in the chat room. Brian's asking if we have had a bit more news on the grand jury issue in the Kenai that was brought forward to us last week by Ben Carpenter. The answer to that is no. I have no further information other than Ben did have a piece in Must Read Alaska. I don't know if you saw that. He actually talks about the compromising of the grand jury system, and apparently there was a letter that he sent out that somebody leaked. He sent a letter to the I think it was to the judiciary. I'm trying to remember exactly where this came in from. He basically said in the issue of transparency, since somebody had already leaked his correspondence with the director of the criminal division of the Department of Law, he went ahead and provided the full email in context, because somebody had already leaked portions of it and he wanted to have a full context of it. It's a pretty lengthy letter and a pretty lengthy piece. You probably, if you have an interest in that, you should go look. You should go take a look at it. And then somebody said Alaska Watchman has got an article up on it as well. So I haven't heard anything new other than what I'm just reporting to you right now. But I'm sure that Ben Carpenter is all over that. You could tell last Thursday that he was pretty heated about it, and that's a good it's a good indication that he's probably going to stay on that here for the next few days as well. What else did I want? Oh, this was kind of a story that I had heard about over the weekend from my wife, who, like I said, I mean, I unplug from pretty much everything, but that doesn't keep my wife off social media. She likes to scroll through there and see what her friends are doing and everything else. Anyway, she heard about this and was just aghast, and I was just shaking my head over this. This has to do with the Trump rally, which we're going to be talking about here in a few minutes with Antwon Williams. But Must Read Alaska's got a story up about an attempt by Democrats and progressives in the state to suppress the attendance at the Trump rally, which is coming up on the 9th here in just 3 days at the University of Alaska Anchorage's Alaska Airlines Center. In the lower 48, there had been an effort back in 2020 and in several other areas when there were being rallies held to engage in efforts to suppress the attendance by having young liberals across the country tie up all the free tickets at whatever rally. Specifically, the big one that they noted was the Tulsa, Oklahoma rally. One of the project's leaders for the Lincoln Project helped his daughter run a social media stealth campaign to get liberals to basically suck up all the available tickets. And then, of course, it looked like 1 million people had requested tickets to the rally. And then since people who wanted to go realized they'd never get in, then the turnout was disappointing. And so that was the media then reported that the turnout was disappointing to the Trump campaign. It became kind of the narrative that led the news cycle. But that's not going to happen this time. The Alaska Airlines Center only holds 5,000 people. And according to the organizers, only those with purchased tickets are guaranteed a seat. And those tickets are limited. Those who show up and stand in line are not guaranteed to get in. And so if you want to skip the line and buy a guaranteed seat, they can contact the campaign for Kelly Tshibaka, the Kelly for Alaska campaign, and you'll actually get a link. And then whoever, I mean, if you bought a seat and then you don't show up, so because people are like, well, what if they buy seats and then nobody shows? Well, that's why they have people standing outside of the rally ready to get in. They're going to fill that place up one way or the other, I guarantee you. Yeah, that trick only works once, I think. But apparently some of my wife's friends were talking about it back and forth out on social media about this idea of let's get a bunch of tickets and then not show up kind of thing. And I'm just like, man, what are we, 12? I mean, is this middle school? Is this the kind of thing that's going on? I mean, I'm not going to the rally, but I'm sure somebody wants to. Why would you mess with, I mean, why? Why? I mean, if Joe Biden or Barack Obama was going to show up, I'm not going to go out there and try and submarine somebody's chance to go see him if they want to go see him. Who cares? Who cares? I mean, it makes no sense whatsoever. But here's where we are right now, dealing with it. All right, we're coming up on the break, and we're going to dive into this and get ready. Antwon Williams is coming up. He's going to be with us on the other side, and we're going to talk with him about the rally this weekend and what he has seen across the country and what's the purpose of this. You know, what is his position? What does he see it from his point of view? And we will continue with that here in just a moment. It is the Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll return with more in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
If you missed the show, you can listen to it on your time with Dukes On Demand. Oh, and it's free. Like America used to be. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay. Yeah, I gave up after 4 attempts to restart the stream this morning. I mean, 4 different attempts to restart everything. I don't know. I don't know, man. I don't know. I was trying to get it to work, and yeah, no joy in Mudville. For those of you who know what that means. Casey was at the bat. There's no joy in Mudville. All right. My stuff broke here. All right. Try again, says Harold. No, I'm done trying. If it doesn't work 4 times in a row and I restart the stream 4 times, because now I have to go back and delete 4 different videos off YouTube because it always picks up on YouTube. I mean, I don't know why Facebook is so messed up, but I'm not doing it again. And folks can show up or not. I'm hoping that they do. They should have figured out by now that if I'm not on Facebook, that they'll probably find me out on YouTube. That's pretty much how it works these days. And yeah, I just don't know why Facebook has gotten so janky lately. It's pretty crazy. Pretty damn crazy. All right. There we go. So, all right. Let's see. Sorry, I got all these numbers and everything else. I've had like 4 text messages since I started the show for other things other than stuff that's on the show. Okay. All right. Well, we'll get to that here in just a little bit. Boomer platform should be abandoned anyways, says Chris. The boomer platform should be abandoned anyway. All right. Well, if Harold is here, your day should be complete. Yes, it's exactly what I was waiting for. Exactly what I was waiting for. All right. Well, Antwon Williams is going to be joining us here in a hot minute, and we'll see what he has to say. I know that Donna Anthony came to his rescue, and she actually put me in contact with him on what is happening. I didn't even realize. Apparently, there's certain things that I just don't pay attention to, and it didn't rank high on my list of things to understand. That the Alaska Highway, there was a washout last Friday on the highway. I didn't even know that. There was a washout on the Alcan, and apparently it's going to take weeks to fix. I was like, oof, man, we're not isolated at all. The flooding was caused by heavy rain and the collapse of a beaver dam. I mean, it was a stinking hot mess. That's for sure. So that should be that makes life interesting for a lot of people, including our next guest, Antwon Williams with 365campaign.com. He is joining us right now. We're in the commercial break. So Antwon, it's just me, you, and 50 of our closest friends on YouTube right now, hanging out, getting ready to jump back on the radio. How are you doing this morning?
I can't complain, buddy. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. We were just talking about the washout of the Alcan, and that's had a detrimental effect on you. We'll talk about that here in just a minute, but you got kind of the firsthand look at what it would have been like to try and travel up here before there was a highway, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank God we got to reroute it somehow.
Yeah, well, thank goodness there's enough arterial routes to artillery routes. That'd be a whole different type of run if you had to make an arterial route run. But the arterial routes, luckily there's ones that go around, and we're able to do that, so that's good. All right. So if you want to hold the line here, we're about 20 seconds out. We're just about ready to rejoin. We just got the note that we're ready to go. Let's get back into it. The Michael Dukes Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Please like and share the show. Like it, follow the show page, subscribe, ring the bell. Let's do all the things. You ready? Let's get to it. Hey, ready to play. It's all right. Hey, good morning. How are you this morning? You ready to dive into it? We're just continuing now with our guest. We've been talking about things that have happened, the Trump rally and everything else. And I was just talking with the listeners in the break here, the folks on YouTube, that I wasn't even aware. I missed this news somehow as I unplugged for the whole weekend, that the Alcan has had a huge washout, and that's problematic for many reasons. But for our next guest, it created a whole host of problems. We're talking with Antwon Williams, who is with the 365 campaign, 365campaign.com, and he is in charge of making sure that all the different swag and all the different paraphernalia arrives at the various Trump events around the country. And he had a bit of a challenge making it to Alaska with that kind of stuff. Antwon joins us right now. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I can't complain about yourself, buddy.
Oh, not too bad. You're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you can stand a little taller or maybe put an antenna on your hat or something, but
Yes, sir.
there we go. So you were traveling up here, getting ready for the Trump rally here this weekend over at the Alaska Airlines Center. And you like to get here a few days ahead of time, is what I understand. Usually you like to get out here and kind of get the ball rolling, so to speak.
Absolutely. We like to get out here and just, get everybody pumped up and let them know that, hey, President Trump is on the way, guys. Come get your gear.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And you guys set up ahead of time, but unfortunately, when push came to shove, you didn't have some of your stuff because there were trucks behind you on the highway coming up that got stuck on the other side.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We had to take an alternate route, end up having to fly in out of Seattle and pretty much shipping everything here instead of trying to drive everything here. Yes, sir.
Antwon, hold the line for just a second. I'm gonna. Your phone is breaking up pretty bad, so I'm gonna call you back. And we're going to try this again here and see if we can get a little bit of a better connection.
Yes.
Are you there?
There we are. Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
That's a little bit better. Now we can hear you a little bit better because it was getting bad. So tell us a little bit about 365 campaign and what you guys do and what you're all about.
Okay, so basically we've been following President Trump since he been in office back in 2016, and basically we just go everywhere the president go, we go, and every rally we go to every rally, and we get the gear. We do the same thing over and over again. When he go to a city, we go and get everybody ready to let him know that he's on the way. And we have the gear. We want people to come out and get their swag and yes, sir, that's basically what we do.
So you're like the town criers. You go to places where he's going to appear, and you do your thing. Now, is this your own? Is this your own business? Is this what you've been doing?
Yes, sir.
Oh, so here you are, an entrepreneur, and you're kind of ahead of the crowd, waving your hat, saying he's on his way. He's on his way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes,
now, originally, I saw the article in Must Read Alaska. I guess this morning or yesterday. Talking about this is a whole new thing for you because you were once upon a time you were all about supporting Barack Obama and the Democrats, and you kind of what made you have a change of heart?
Man, just listening to Trump every day. I mean, I tell people all the time, thanks to Hillary Clinton, I would have my eyes would have been closed forever, but thanks to her and not doing what she was supposed to do at the time, I had no choice but to listen to President Trump every day. And just hear him say, please give me a chance. To my black community, please give me a chance. And they're going to vote every day.
Uh-oh.
They don't care. They're just there to manipulate your votes. And, I watched all of her manipulation skills. And I was like, you know what? I really don't have nothing to lose. I'm going to give this guy a chance. And that's what I did. Yes, sir.
Right. Gave him a chance, and you feel like you made the right choice when it's all said and done.
Oh, I know I made the right choice. Yes, sir. I'm woke now. I am awakened.
That's
I can
right.
never go back the other way. No, sir.
Now you were getting ready to get set up here, and you realized you didn't have some of your stuff. I know my friend Donna Anthony came in and helped you out with a few things and
Oh
got
my
you some
God.
some stuff out there, and you're getting all set up. The rally is this Saturday.
Yes.
And where are you guys set up? What are you are you setting up right outside the venue? Are you setting up around town? Where are you setting up your stuff to
We're
get people
setting up,
ready?
and yes, we're going to be setting up in the valley today, in the valley area near the lake.
Mm-hmm.
We're also set up right in Anchorage, I think it's called. Yes, it's called Anchorage on Vincent, I think it's called, street. Not exactly with the exact location. We'll make sure we get the exact location for you a little later. But yes, sir, we're going to be setting up stands everywhere around here, and that's the goal. Yes, sir.
Okay. And I understand that there was an attempt. There was an attempt to try and suppress some of the attendance by people going out there and buying things and everything else, but they've got that all squared away. And you, of course, have gone to all these different rallies. So, what's your recommendation if people want to get in early? If they hope to get a seat, if they bought a seat, what is your recommended game plan for people who want to attend the rally and make sure that they get in and get a chance to attend?
I tell people all the time, think of it like a NASCAR event or a college football or NFL event. If you want to get in to see President Trump, just know that everybody else wants to get in as well. If you're a true Trumper, you want to get out there early. People are going to be camping out the day before, night before. Like, this is serious. If you want to get in, don't wait until 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon to think that you're going to still get in. You better get there. Like, of course, they have video boards set up on the outside for the overflow crowd. But if you actually want to get in, you have to get out there. Yes, sir.
So you're saying, because the rally's in the evening, right? So the rally
Yes.
is it at 5 p.m., I think, or is it 7 p.m.? I'm sorry, I don't have the...
Is that 4? Is that 4?
It's at 4.
The doors open. Yes, the doors open at 11, and the rally starts at 4. When President Trump will start speaking. And I'm telling everyone right now, people will be out there camping out.
Right.
Like it's a Black Friday.
So it'll be the night before. People will be pitching
Yes.
pup tents in the back of their trucks to make sure that they're there.
Absolutely. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So if you want to, vote early, vote often. I mean, no, that's the other
Yes.
guy's stuff. No, this is be there early, be there often is what you're saying. If you
Yes.
want to get in there. And of course, you've been selling this swag now since 2016, and you've got a website up and everything else. So if folks want to go participate, they can take a look at all the stuff that you're going to have available. 365campaign.com, but it's probably not going to be there quick enough. So they just need to come see you wherever you're at.
Yes, absolutely. And on Facebook at 365 Campaign as well, so they can find us there as well. We're going to have pretty much everywhere we're going to be setting up. We're going to update our Facebook today.
Oh, okay.
So people will know exactly where we're going to be at on Facebook, so they can get directly to us. Yes, sir.
Okay, so Facebook is a place to go to figure out where you guys are, because you're doing like little pop-up events all across the place.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. And the best way to keep up with us is to please go like us on Facebook and follow us on Facebook, so you can definitely be able to keep up with exactly where we're going to be.
Now, somebody just asked a question on YouTube, which I'm sure there are many people who are asking this. When are you going to go to Homer? When are you going to go to Fairbanks? When are you going to go to these other areas outside of Anchorage? Are you planning on going anywhere else in the state since you're here, or are you running back out as soon as the rally's over?
Oh no, we're actually, some of our guys are planning now to stay out here, go to some of these different areas, and then I have the awesome pleasure of meeting Miss Donna, who's just helping me out with everything around here. Oh my God, Miss Donna is like an angel.
Yeah, Donna, she's good people, that's for sure.
Oh my God, you have no idea, sir. But yeah, she's helping me out with getting into some of these areas, because of course I don't know much about the state. But she definitely gave me a history lesson very fast.
Well, you're gonna, you know what? You have the excuse. You're in Alaska already. You might as well spend a couple extra days traveling around.
Yes, sir.
It's all
Yes, sir.
hey, it's all a business expense, right? So you can. That's
Yes,
right.
sir, absolutely.
That's right. You
Absolutely.
got to write off those business expenses, and
Yes,
so
sir.
you get to go to Fairbanks and see the midnight sun, and then you get to go down to Homer to see the end of the road of the
Yes,
you know.
yes.
And see the ocean. I mean, it's not a bad deal right there.
Yes,
So,
yes, yes.
well, I got to tell you, Antwon, I'm encouraged simply by your tenacity
Yes, sir.
to strike out and to be your own boss, and then to be able to.
Absolutely.
You found a need and you filled a need, right? You
Absolutely.
found the need to spread the message of making America great, and then you were able to just work ahead. That's an amazing thing, and I'm glad it's worked out for you. And I'm happy to see that you're out here working on it. And it's good to see all the folks who believe in something coming together. It's
Yes, sir.
it's good to
But
see.
that's what, but if you really, like I tell people all the time, that's what President Trump is all about, also, honestly. Like, seriously, he want America to just thrive. He show people that he know how to make America thrive. And it's just sad that I can't get the black community as a whole to see that as well. But I'm gonna do my part every day. I'm gonna always be in my MAGA gear. I'm gonna always walk around in it, and it's a conversation starter to everyone who be like, really, why? And I'll just be like, well, you just tell me why you don't like God. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
It's a conversation starter, and I love it, man.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. As long as you can have a polite conversation with somebody.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you can't. Sometimes they're just
Absolutely.
like, they see the red hat and it's like waving a red flag in front of a bull. Sometimes it doesn't
Exactly.
work, But other times you can have a conversation,
Yes.
I'm not part of the whole MAGA crowd, but I admire folks who have a good belief, and I'm willing to have a conversation with anybody about any of this stuff.
Yes.
So that's what we need to have more than anything. And
It's a beautiful conversation, I tell you that much, because in the black community, I'm telling you, most people would not understand that. Most black people look at Republicans and think that Republicans are just racist. They're just so ignorant. They have no idea.
They have no
I'm
idea that the
telling you.
Republicans were the party that actually tried to free them.
Yes, exactly. Yes, sir. Yes.
Oh.
The ignorance is real. Yes, sir.
That's right. Well, those who fail to learn the lessons of history are doomed to repeat them. So hopefully,
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
hopefully, Antwon Williams is out there waking them up and getting them. And you've got a chance.
Yes.
You've got a chance to see a whole bunch of different people in every walk
my
of
God,
life
yes.
across the states. Right.
Yes, absolutely. I tell people all the time, man, I've been doing this for quite some time. President Trump, he does rallies everywhere, all over the country, and I don't know anyone who worked harder than him. For anyone who would think that he's lazy, they're just mistaken. I
Right.
promise you. Like,
Well, yeah,
he keep us on our toes.
I may not always agree with the president on what his policies were and everything else, but I would never have argued that he was lazy. There's a guy that
Yes,
just doesn't know
yes.
how to quit. So,
Oh my God, yes.
yeah.
Yes.
All right. Well, you're going to be in Wasilla today by the lake, right there by the main drag in Wasilla. And
Yes,
then you're going to be somewhere in Anchorage, but people just need to go to your Facebook page and you guys will
Yes, sir.
update where you're going to be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're going to make sure we put the locations on our Facebook at 365 campaign.
All right, at 365 campaign on Facebook, or you can go if you want to just buy the swag, and you probably won't get here before the rally. So if you want the stuff,
Right.
if you want the stuff for the rally this Saturday, then you need to make sure that you go out and find one of his pop-up locations. But if you just are looking for some swag, you can go to 365campaign.com or follow them on Facebook. Well, Antwon, thank you for coming on board. It was
Thank you,
fun.
sir. Thank you, sir.
And I hope that you get a bunch of folks showing up. It's gonna be
Yes, sir.
it's gonna be fun
Yes,
stuff.
sir.
So, all right, sir. Thank you for coming on board and joining us today. Good luck. God bless.
Thank you, sir. All right, bye-bye.
All right, Antwon Williams with the 365 campaign. I think that's great. I think that's really great. Like I said, found a need, filled a need. Not only did he get a straight dope of politics, of what was going on in politics, he was able to create a business out of it and align himself and be able to do well. That's fantastic. That's the American way, my friend. That's the American way. All right. We got more coming up. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
We're broadcasting live through a series of tubes.
Allowing all of these entities to provide streaming stuff going on the internet.
Well, it's kind of hard to explain. Sorry. Streaming live every weekday morning on Facebook Live and MichaelDukesShow.com.
Okay, we're in the break right now, and Antwon's still on the phone just in case if there was anything that I missed that he wanted to talk about since we're in the break. Antwon, anything that I missed that you want to say or anything else you want to throw out there before we let you go?
No, sir. I think you covered it all. It was pretty cool, brother.
Yeah, well, you know what? We love doing it. Like I said, and I've made no bones about it that I have not been always on board with what Trump has done, and I've had taken some issues with him. But I think what you're doing is, again, just a great example of the American way, right? I mean, you not only caught the vision of a freer America, but you also were able to make a buck and become a small business owner and an entrepreneur.
Yes,
that's a fantastic deal. I can't tell you.
American way, yes, sir. American way, yes, sir, buddy.
Yeah, I can't tell you how that how much that makes me happy. So, all right, well, my friend, be safe. Make sure you stay in Alaska a few days, man. Don't just run off to somewhere else. Go out and see this great state. You need to see what it looks like. So, all right, Antwon. Well, thank you so much for coming on board. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
All right, thanks for coming in, and good luck this weekend. All right, Antwon Williams. Who obviously does not have a Pivotel phone because, wow. What's his bestseller? Too late. He's gone. He's gone. So somebody on Twitch just said, no. Apparently, they didn't like whatever it was that we said. No. I don't know what it was. What happened to Facebook this morning? I don't know. I literally tried to restart the Facebook stream 4 times this morning. I mean, not just the whole stream, which means I started and stopped like 4 times on YouTube. I think if we go to YouTube right now, you'll probably see that I've got a bunch of videos this morning that are. It only picked up. I picked up 3 of them. No, yeah, 2 of them. 3 of them. 3 of them. Whatever it was. There's like 3. Now I've got to go back and delete a bunch because I couldn't get the damn thing to pick it up. I don't know what's going on. But it's frustrating. That's for sure. All right. So what else is going on this morning? We're going to talk to Sarah Vance here in just a short order. I suppose we could get the phone lines rolling this morning to see if there's anything else that we had to say. I would love to have gotten a little bit more. If he had a better connection, if Antwon had a better connection, I would have gotten a little bit more of his
Thanks for
story.
calling the call-in line.
I think that would have been interesting to have to get his story from like the very beginning and where he came from and everything else. I think that would have been awesome. But his connection with bad, man. Bad connection.
Hold.
All right. Looks like we got 2 people on hold. Somebody's been on hold for 45 minutes. What are you guys doing? All right. So we're going to, I guess we'll go over and see who they are. Is what we should do first, I guess, and see who they are before we get started. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Hello, caller. Last chance. Are you there? You've been on hold for 45 minutes. Maybe you went to sleep. Hello, caller. Are you there? Okay. Well, you know what? I'll put him back on hold because I hate to hang up on somebody that's been on hold for 45 minutes. Good morning, caller. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
This is Barbara Tyndall.
Hello, Barbara. How are you?
I'm calling for
Pole, Alaska.
From North Pole.
I
Okay.
am fine. How are you?
Good, good. All right, Barbara. Well, you hold the line. You'll be first up when we return to the radio, okay? I know you've been on hold for a bit. Just hold on a minute. We'll get back to you here in just a hot second. We're about 90 seconds out. And we'll get started with you as the first caller. So don't go anywhere. And then we'll attempt back to caller number 1 who's been on hold for 40 minutes. All right? So, but hold the line here, Barbara. We'll be right back to you. Okay. Oh, baby. Yeah, I still don't know what to say with the Facebook not working properly. I just shaking my head. Shaking my head. I don't know what it's going to take to get the job done, but it's like once a week Facebook just shats the bed. It's just that's it. They just poops right in the pillows. So, it is what it is. All right. What else you guys got to say? Antwon is finding a need, filling a need. Even Harold liked Antwon. Didn't agree with him, but said he would buy swag from him because he's fulfilling the American dream. He's in it for the right reasons, the private sector. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. All right. Aliens, says Terry. Apparently it was aliens who were stopping the communications. Something like that. All right, well, the big ding means time to go back. Let's get down into it. The Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Like and share. Hit the subscribe button. Ring the bell. Let's do this thing. All right, continuing now. We are here at the final segment for this hour. We got a couple phone lines on hold. Some folks wanted to call in and talk with us. So we're going to start there first, reminding you, of course, that Sarah Vance is going to be joining us at the top of the next hour. We're going to be talking with her about some state business. Meanwhile, Barbara is on hold. She's over in North Pole. And she wanted to chat with us this morning, so let's see what Barbara has to say. Good morning, Barbara. What's on your mind?
Good morning. I am calling for the Kelly Tshibaka campaign up here in the interior.
Okay.
I am her coordinator, and I'm just calling to let folks know that Kelly is going to be at Seekins Ford over in the south side of Fairbanks. Wednesday, July 13th. That's a week from today, from noon to 1. And she is going to be, we're going to be having a barbecue over there. And so people can just stop over on their lunch hour and come on over and talk to Kelly and hear what she has to say.
All right, noon to 1 next Wednesday, Seekins Ford, Lincoln Mercury. And although I don't think Mercury's even a brand anymore, but I know what you're talking about.
I'm not sure.
It's funny that when you've been in Fairbanks, whenever you hear that, you're like, Seekins Ford, Lincoln Mercury, see you here, right? I mean,
that's right.
You can see Ralph standing up there saying it on the screen. All right, noon to 1 next week.
Yes, and he's given her a office over there. So if people want to pick up signs and things, that's a perfect place to do it.
Oh, good. All right, well, good. Kelly Tshibaka next week. And we actually am going to try and get her on the program next week as well to talk about some of the stuff that's going out there. So go out, see Kelly, have some free grub, enjoy a nice lunch hour out in the sunshine and smoke, and then we'll see what happens. All right. Well, Barbara, thank you for giving us the heads up on that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Appreciate you calling in. All right, this caller's been on hold forever, and we tried to talk to him during the break, but they weren't there. But we thought we'd try it again just for giggles. If you would like to call in, we've got a little bit of time here before the top of the hour. We'd love to hear what you have to say this morning. 907-433-3150. Are you planning on attending the rally this weekend? I am not, but I mean, are you? Is it something that you're excited about and you would, are going to drive up from somewhere? You're going to go drive in from Wasilla or up from the peninsula or down from Fairbanks? Are you going to do that? Call us up. Tell us about it. Tell us what your thoughts are. 907-433-3150. Over here to this caller on hold for 50 minutes. That's a record, I think, for the program. Let's see if they're there. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from? Are you there, caller? Are you just monitoring the show? I'm just wondering. Okay, I guess that's, no, they don't answer. I'm finally going to clip them. I got no big deal. All right, so that leaves all 4 lines open. If you would like to participate, come on down. Phone lines are open, and we'll talk about it. You want to talk about salmon runs? We'll talk about salmon runs. You want to talk about the Trump rally? We'll talk about that. You want to talk about anything else? We'll talk about that as well. Because why? Because I got 8 minutes here to talk about whatever you want to talk about. What was the other thing we did? We touched base on the grand jury thing with Ben. We're probably going to try and check in with Ben Carpenter maybe tomorrow on that, and we will talk with him to see if there's been any movement on the grand jury issue. And then on Friday, we're working on Dr. John Lott being back on the program and potentially David Codrea. Although I've got to be careful. Every time I have David Codrea on the program, I either get a red flag from YouTube or a warning from Facebook. I don't know why. They do not like David. They just do not like David. I will note that finally the mainstream media picked up on the mainstream media picked up on the DUI charge for the executive director of the Democratic Party, Lindsey Kavanaugh. It's at first it was just must read, which I thought was, okay, but then finally it made enough of a splash that both KTUU and the ADN had to pick it up. And they're both, basically the same information. There's nothing new other than the chair of the Alaska Democratic Party said that while he was disappointed that she may have exercised poor judgment, he remains confident in her ability to perform her responsibilities. So, I mean, good for you. Stick and stand with it. Good for you. That's a good thing. All right, let's go back to the phones and see what you have to say. Good morning. Who's this? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Michael. This is Carlene in Kodiak.
Well, good morning, Carlene.
Good morning. Antwon Williams. Wow. What a nice man. I'd like to meet him sometime. But what I'm calling about is the trawler bycatch. I don't have TV, and I don't know how to use an iPhone, so I went down to the bar on election night 2016 to watch what was going on.
Right.
And there was a commercial fisherman in there who wanted to buy drinks, and the bartender said, "Oh, she don't drink." And then so he wanted to buy me a meal, and I had already cooked an omelet, so I was full. I went in and had dessert and coffee.
Right.
But anyway, that boat had already caught 11 million pounds of fish.
Oof.
And then I drive past Trident Seafoods, and they have 13 freezer vans plugged in, So the fishing is going big time. And then from what I understand, the commercial fishermen by law have to throw overboard the other fish. And also commercial fishermen are coming to Kodiak to run tenders because there's no fishing over there where you're at.
Right. Yeah, it's I saw a lot. I commercial fished out of Kodiak. Gosh, it's been 30 years now. I can't believe that. It's been 30 years, but I commercial fished out of Kodiak, and I saw what those trawlers can do. And it's pretty amazing, the amount of fish that they can catch, but also the amount of, bycatch and the damage and everything else. I definitely think it's something that needs to be looked at and regulated a little bit more, because you just can't go through the wholesale scraping of the seafloor and expect everything's going to be okay. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's definitely an issue, and for Kodiak especially, it's something that I hope that your folks down there are definitely getting involved with.
And the other countries are doing it also.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, we can't control anything that's outside the 12-mile limit. They can do, they could be at 12.5 miles and they could scrape the floor bare, and there's not a lot we could do about it. But inside our own territorial waters, there's, we definitely have some say in that stuff for sure.
Yes, thank you, Michael.
All right, Carlene, thank you for calling in and she's such a sweetheart. She's such a sweetheart. I can't run an iPhone. Can't run an iPhone. Somebody in Kodiak find Carlene and give her a course on an iPhone, would you? Because her life would be so much, it would be so amazing for her to have all that information. She's so inquisitive. And just imagine, she does all she does with a radio and a newspaper and an encyclopedia. Imagine what would happen if she had the internet at her fingertips. It's not hard, Carlene. It's not hard to run an iPhone. It's not hard to run a smartphone. And that's all you need. You don't even need a computer these days. You could have a little tablet or a smartphone, and you would be squared away. Somebody go find her and teach her how to use that. That would be an amazing thing. Figuring out sustainability for trawling should be left to the private sector, except for the fact that if they have no short-term inducement to do that, we've seen that in the past that they would basically just wipe out the fisheries for the short-term gain, not thinking about the long-term consequences. So, I mean, while I am generally not a fan of regulations on a lot of these things, I've seen what's happened when they're allowed to kind of run amok. And they're not thinking in the long term. Chris in the chat room just said, such a sweet, sweet lady, and you want to put that evil on her? And he's talking about the internet. Well, I mean, I'm not saying, look, the internet is kind of neutral. It's like you could do with it whatever you want. I mean, you could do with it. It's, it's not neither good nor bad. I mean, could you liken it to a firearm? I guess. You give a firearm to a good person, they could use it to defend themselves. You give it to a bad person, they use it to hurt other people. I mean, that, I guess that's kind of the thing. It's a neutral object. It's a tool like any other. And it can be used and abused, for sure. For sure. Anyway, it's good to hear, Carlene. All right. Bycatch and waste is a huge problem. Many of the trawlers are owned by native corporations, BVEDC, etc. Yeah, I would like to see some discussion on that. We're really not seeing much of this. It's kind of out of sight, out of mind. I'm sure in the fishing communities it's big news. But for the rest of us, I would say we're not really paying attention to it that much. So maybe it's something we should address. I'm sure we'll probably talk about it with Sarah Vance, who's up next on the program, since she's down there in Homer, in the beautiful waters of the Tshibaka Bay, out on the way to the Pacific Ocean. We will continue with more in just a moment. It is the Wednesday edition of the Michael Duke Show. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. We'll be back with more right after this. Don't go anywhere. Brian says we should expand the territorial waters to 24 miles. I mean, good luck with that. We've already got some problems with Russia. Excuse me. We've already got problems with Russia bumping up with time zones and territorial waters and diamide and everything else splitting. Expanding it out another 12 miles might prove to be problematic, but we'll see. It's always a native issue, right? Let's make it about race. Who's making it about race? You're the one who would even mention that? Weird. Okay. All right. Sarah Vance is going to be joining us here in a minute. And we're going to, I got a bit of a stuffy nose. I don't know why, but this morning my nose is a little stuffed up. Dance smarty pants. Ooh, Not me, he says. Well, who's making a native issue out of what? I mean, because he said native corporation? I don't think that was a racially motivated thing. But you take it as you want. I mean, you know. Every fishery has bycatch. It's a waste of the resource when we know that it takes fish upstream to renew the resource. Yes. Go get my COVID shot because I've got a little bit of a stuff in my nose this morning. Man, sorry. I've got all the horse lather I want. I can just slather that on and I'll be fine, Harold. Don't worry about it. Don't worry. I've got it. Stuffy nose because of the smoke? Yeah, Fairbanks apparently is like super smoky. In fact, I meant to do that. I was going to look at the News Monitor webcam. I was going to look at the webcam in downtown Fairbanks this morning just to see what it looks like. The Arctic cam. Oof. Yeah, that's kind of nasty. It's kind of nasty and smoky and fuzzy. Oof. All right. All right, don't. It's all good. Okay. Well, what else we got going on here this morning? We're going to dive into it here in just a hot second with Sarah Vance, and we're going to talk with her and see what she has to say. And oh, you guys are killing me here. What was the other thing that somebody else said here? Oh, the whole thing with the Democratic Party leader getting arrested. That made the front page of the News Miner. Wow. Did the News Miner change publishers or something? That's kind of crazy. That's kind of crazy. Kevin says yes, he's traveling down to Anchorage for the rally. How many others of you are going to be traveling to Anchorage for the rally this weekend? I want to know. How many people are traveling down here? CO headache this morning. You from the smoke. Man, I still remember. I mean, what was it? 2000. Gosh, must have been 2007. No, because there was the haystack fire, which I want to say was in 2004 or something. And then there was the large fire a few years later because we had moved the stations from one part of town to another. And I remember, again, that was when the smoke was so bad. Inside the studio, it looked like a 1928 29 speakeasy, smoke-filled room, but it was all wood smoke coming in from outside the building. 2005 was the haystack fire. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate it. And then of course later on, they had another big fire, and I don't remember where that one was. I remember haystack because I remember we were broadcasting that night that when the fire broke out, they had an emergency evacuation, and I stayed on the air for like 6 hours. After the show, broadcasting updates. That was a heck of a show. But again, then it was a few years later that there was another fire, and I don't remember where that one was, but that one was the one that it was just like so much smoke right into the heart of downtown. It looked like ice fog. It was just insane. Okay, Sarah Vance is going to be calling us here in just a second. Worked construction that summer, said Jimmy. Stand still for 1 minute and you would have ash and moss and bark from the fire falling on you. I signed up to get on the list, said Moret. Hopefully that's good for getting in to see Trump. Well, like he said, you got to get in there early. Like people are like the night before, 6 a.m. that day. You best be there. This year, black spruce is burning, 50-year-old growth. Ooh, that black spruce is some nasty stuff, isn't it? Goes up like a Roman candle. Oof, bad stuff. All right, so Sarah Vance has joined us, and we're ready. Hello, good morning there. How are you?
Good morning.
Okay, we're 60 seconds out, so just sit back and sip your coffee. And I won't even offer you virtual donuts because I'm a nice guy. I don't want to tempt anybody, let alone myself, for virtual donuts. We're gonna continue here in just a second. Sarah Vance is our guest. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. let's dive into it and get things rolling on. Here we go.
Whoa, buddy. Put that thing back in its holster. We haven't gone anywhere.
I don't understand.
Check out the MichaelDukesShow.com for information on how to get access to the podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal.
The Michael Dukes Show.
The greed and the entitlement is astounding to me.
What more could you want from a low-budget radio program?
This is a dumpster fire.
That's just BS.
It is time to get a new perspective.
We know just what you need, and we've got just the cure. Open wide and prepare for a steaming hot cup of freedom.
I just don't fathom it.
The Michael Dukes Show, streaming live across the world.
Across the world on the internet at MichaelDukesShow.com and on Facebook and YouTube and Twitch TV. Well, not Facebook this morning, but usually on Facebook. And around the state of Alaska on this, your favorite radio station and or translator. Hello and good morning to you. It is the Hump Day edition of the Michael Dukes Show. Weird, I mean, right? Short week, can't figure out what's going on. Yeah, it is confusing. The best part about the long weekend is the short work week. But here we are on Wednesday, ready to dive into it, start talking about stuff. Joining us for our conversation this morning in hour 2 is our guest, Representative Sarah Vance, GOP State Rep, District 31, which is now changed to I don't know what. She'll fill me in on. I give me 10 years to figure them out and memorize most of the districts, and then they flip them around. She joins us this morning from down in an undisclosed location somewhere in Homer. I'm sure this is now District, 3, 4, 5 now, something like that, Sarah? Where are we at?
You were close. It's District 6.
District 6. I mean, that's what they do. They flip them. So in one time, it's all the low numbers are up top, then the low numbers are in the bottom. I can't keep track of it. So District 6. Now, it was District 31 until January, and then it becomes District 6. So, anyway, good morning there, young lady. How are you doing? How's life treating you?
Doing pretty good. I had a pretty fun holiday weekend. How about you?
You know what? I had an interesting holiday weekend. I had a little bit of a house flood, and I had a radio station go down and transmitter. I spent a lot of time working this weekend when I was not intending to, but it was okay. I mean, it was, you know what? That's life. Nobody died. It was radio, so we're enjoying life. It's all good. And we're ready to get back into it. Now, are you ready to get back into it? That's the big question. I mean, you've been through now your full cycle, and here you come back. You're on a little bit of a break, and you're looking forward to January. Question mark? Are you ready to dive back into the madness that is the legislature?
Well, actually, I think about it a lot. I just yesterday was talking about, okay, we need to work on prioritize the policies that we want to have bills on and really dig into policy. I like the policy. I don't know if I'm just one of those strange people that I really want to have stronger laws. Like, I want to get rid of the ridiculous, overburdensome big government, but I want to make the laws that we have on the books really work for the people. And I'm like, ooh, we need to rewrite this title. Let's look at that. And just have it make sense.
You're like a statute nerd. You're a statute nerd. Is that what you are?
I am. I think I am.
Yeah, okay, that's crazy stuff. You're right. Maybe you're the only one, Sarah, because even I, a talking head who've been covering these things for 25 years, am like, ooh, I don't even want to open up that can of worms. It's just too crazy for me. Let's talk about highs and lows from the last couple of years here. Before we get into the whole stronger laws things, because somebody in the chat room just said immediately what I was thinking. Stronger laws equals bigger government. I mean, I know you're saying eliminate a lot of the fringe and things that are, kind of impeding business and everything. But the problem is every time we talk about making laws stronger, it almost always equates to a growth in government because they've got to enforce those laws, which means they've got to have a bureaucracy to do so, which means they've got to justify them. I mean, that's a kind of a slippery slope, isn't it?
Well, I think I have some pretty good examples on the term I used, stronger. Do you feel that our election integrity laws are strong?
Well, no. I mean, there's definitely some improvements.
Right?
I mean, there's some improvements.
Right?
I'm not saying that there's not. That was my immediate thought when you said that was,
I know.
I
know. Well, so when I think about it, it's that we clearly need to have a lot more defined when it comes to our elections. And also the other thing that I'm really passionate about is our human trafficking laws are a mess in Alaska. They're so weak. They are, they're just in two different places in statute. I've been trying to draft legislation to at least get it to the federal definition that involves coercion. Like that's one of the key words. And our legal department's like, oh, we can't do that. It's like it's too complicated in being able to just make a simple fix. And so we clearly need some better defined statutes so that the law's working for the people.
Right.
Because it's clearly not in so many areas, and we've seen that in the election integrity. That's something that all of us can kind of relate to. Right. And just like, for instance, the witness signature on the ballots, that one to me during the pandemic, when there was a lawsuit and the court said, no, it's not required. All of us are going, are you kidding me? Well, looking into the statute, the Division of Elections does not have statutory authority to verify signatures. If someone just puts a scribble,
right,
then they have to go, yep,
Mickey Mouse,
looks
right?
Good.
Exactly, yeah, whatever they signed. No, I found that a little crazy. I said, wait, you're requiring a signature verification, or you're requiring a signature for witnessing, but you have no mechanism to verify the signature. So it's kind of a much ado about nothing, kind of thing. And I know, I know Shower was working on that. He was working with Chris Tuck trying to get something like that across the line, and no interest. No, it seems like for people to get in there. What other issues are you focusing on to think, to try and clear out or strengthen? You mentioned the human trafficking stuff. I mean, is that going to take like a whole repeal and rewrite to make it work to the division or Department of Law's satisfaction, or what's it going to take?
I'm still working with them on that. It's been kind of one of those loose things in the background because there's been other priorities. I'm looking at what it would take. I tried to have just a model legislation of basic definitions, and that's where our legal department said, we can't just do that because it's in two different areas of statute. So I'm going to be looking at what it takes. I know Department of Law has been working on it, and we did pass some stronger sex crime bills that affect human trafficking this last year. We updated the definition of consent when it comes to sexual assault and rape, which was transformative. It was huge that we did that. And also changed the age for getting married. A 14-year-old can't get married as easy in Alaska anymore. And that, overlaps into human trafficking. So there was tiny little turns of the dial, but it may take a repeal and replace just because of how old the statute is. And we have a newer definition of human trafficking that involves labor and the sex trade.
Okay.
So
that's one of the things, that's one of your hot button things here to try. And that's what you're talking about when you're talking about strengthening law. You're talking about clarifying. Is it really clarifying instead of strengthening? Is that a better word?
It's clarifying. It's giving it better definition. Because that matters when you're dealing with the court of law. and those nuances, make a difference.
Yeah.
And we've had arguments about the placement of a comma in committee, and I know it matters. So there's a lot of work to do. Obviously, my first priority is the election integrity. We weren't able to get that across. I was working with Senator Shower's office. I was the lead in the Republican caucus over in the House side, and was trying to work with Representative Tuck in that. And we were like, okay, let's figure out what we can agree on, because so much needs clarified, like you said. And man, we were so close. It was right there. You could almost touch the goalpost. We were so close on getting an election integrity bill passed.
Right.
And then leadership is like, no. So that will definitely be a priority at the very beginning of session, because there's no confidence in our elections anymore, and that is we have to change that. And I want to repeal ranked choice voting. Can I get an amen on that?
Yeah, well, and I've said, I mean, I've been saying that here for the last few months, that with all the confusion and everything else, I think that there's going to be a hue and cry from the general public come August and then going into November. I think there's going to be a hue and cry to repeal that, just because people are, I mean, I've talked to people today and they still have no idea what's coming on August 16th. The whole poo parade that's about to lay down on them, with both types of voting in the same ballot, in the same election day. People are just, I mean, they're just confused. It's going to be infuriating for a lot of people. So we'll see what happens with that. But I agree. I think that ranked choice voting needs to be repealed. But let's talk about, you hit on a few things there, and I think it all kind of leads back to the highs and lows of this last session. You've been down there, you've been stuck in the minority, even when technically the Republicans shouldn't have been stuck in the minority in the House. Give me the highs and lows here of this last session for you as you've watched what's going on. What do you say?
Well, I feel like I finally got my training wheels off this year. You feel like when you first get elected, it's like, where's the bathroom? How do we do this? Eddie's? What? All right.
Another Eddie's?
I don't think. Yeah, this isn't brief, guys. Special sessions, are they special? Like this year, this is the first time that I've been able to be home knowing that there's no special sessions.
Right.
After 4 years, there's no added drama. It's such a surreal feeling. I got home in May. So, that's some highs this year, that we actually finished our work on time. It's possible, and was able to work with people on the areas that we could agree on. I went to this session saying, okay, there's so much drama. I don't have to go to that party just because I was invited. So I'm just going to let them do their thing and have fun anyway. Focus on the areas that I need to, and see what we can get, and keep moving on from there. And that's all fun and games until the speaker decides to kill your bill.
Right. Yeah.
And then suddenly I'm not so righteous anymore.
Right. Well, and it seems like that. I mean, my opinion, again, from the outside looking in, is that the majority, the coalition majority led by the speaker, they did not want the minority to have. It's like anything that could have been perceived as a win for the minority was like immediately, nope, that's killed. I mean, it was like, wait a second, this is good for Alaska. We've got bipartisan support for it. It seems like a good idea. We got people reaching across the aisle and across the chambers. Why wouldn't we? Nope, it's dead. I mean, anything that could be perceived as a win seems like it all became kind of that political theater.
It absolutely was, which is so unfortunate, because I think as the Republican caucus, we worked really hard at just setting aside a lot of the immaturity that can happen and say, okay, we could be a royal pain in their rear end, right? just because we could. But we said, okay, we really want to accomplish good things for Alaska. We understand that we're not the ones in control of the calendar here, but we're still like, we legitimately want to do what's right for Alaskans. So let's just get there. And they're like, no, let's just keep doing it this way. And it's unfortunate because, by the end, you're wanting to push people down the stairs.
Yeah. In a loving Christian way, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. Why do they want to broke it's working for them, right? I mean, this is my argument. It's been, they see that there's a problem, but they don't necessarily want to fix the problem because the problem offers them opportunities to remain in control, to remain in power, to obfuscate, to be able to tap into the PFD and do all these other things. Why do we want to fix that problem again? I mean, it seems from me, again, from the outside looking in, that seems to be part of the problem.
Well, I think that's the majority of the problem is, we addressed the binding caucus and the ills of that 2 years ago, right? We really highlighted that. And our team was able to say, okay, we're not going to be part of the binding caucus. We're going to make room for every legislator to be able to represent their district. But we're going to focus on working together and finding agreement as a team. And it's easy to do that in the minority. But at the same time, there were areas where we said, okay, we need each other. And let's figure out how we can do that. And so we did it. We don't have to do that as a minority, but we chose to. And had to work harder to go get support from members of the majority when we needed the votes.
Right.
And see, the majority says, no, we don't have to do it that way. We can threaten our members and make them squirm. And that's what you saw over the concurrence vote for the dividend. And it just broke my heart because we have some good people. Like, they're really good Democrats, but there's quite a few members that I'm like, you know what, they have a heart. They're really trying to represent their district, and yet they fall for the strong arming of, well, you won't get to keep this committee. I don't know what kind of deals were made, but it just is heartbreaking because
the people always suffer, right? And they continue that same pattern. And the real test is that when we get in the majority, which all things are pointing to the House taking the majority back next year, is that we don't perpetuate that same madness.
Right. All right. Well, hold the line, Sarah. Hold the line. We're going to be right back in just a moment. Sarah Vance is our guest, GOP state rep for District 31, soon to be District 6. We're talking about the next session. She, of course, is running for re-election in that district. We'll talk about that and priorities and the organization and everything else. That's up next. The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense Radio.
Our light, our guide, and our trusted friend. Michael Duke Show.
Okay, we're in the break right now with Sarah Vance. Here for District 31. We did ranked choice voting on the 4th and Seward, had a ballot to rank Alaska's best tasting fish. At least 90% of the people were able to fill it out correctly. Okay, well, great. That's about what Dr. Van Bennekom said. He said about 11% of people would be disenfranchised, so 90% of the people are able to fill it out. I guess you're right. What about the other 10% who weren't able to fill it out? I mean, it's great that 90% were able to figure it out. Happy for that. But could 100% of the people figure it out if it was just a regular ballot? I'm asking for a friend. I really am just wondering. I find it to be overly complicated. It doesn't need to be. So I just don't understand. It was like a solution looking for a problem. And I think, like I said, I think that there'll be enough of a backlash from people that we'll probably see some pushback on that. But we'll see what happens. Sarah, what's been the reaction from your neck of the woods on the whole ranked choice thing? Have you seen a lot of pushback, or are people satisfied with it? What say you?
Oh no, people are saying get rid of it as soon as you possibly can. And reflecting on the ballot measure, they said, if I had only known that a lot of people thought that they were voting to get rid of dark money.
Dark money.
And
dark money.
And now they're like, this is craziness. And it's so frustrating because the lie is that they were going to be doing something good for the people. And the people truly want that. They want more transparency. They want elections to be accessible to everyone. And yet this did absolutely the opposite. And that's what we have to change, is making sure that we are communicating clearly to the people about what's going on.
Right. Well, and I think that was the thing. I've spoken to many people because I sure as hell wasn't going to vote for something that was, over 25 pages of changes in the voter pamphlet. I certainly wasn't going to vote for that as a ballot initiative. And yet many people that I talked to who ended up voting for it, and I said, why? And it was always, well, because we're going to get rid of dark money. I mean, it was a PR campaign. That's all it was. They spent $7 million in the state of Alaska convincing people that somehow this ballot measure was going to get rid of dark money. That's what all the ads said, dark money. And
sure,
in the end, it didn't really do what they said it was going to do. I mean, that's the thing. They did well. It was a great PR campaign. Got what they wanted. Not really going to change anything.
It's made me very, very cautious of voting for any ballot measure. It was originally supposed to be a tool that the people had to be able to write the law, take the matters into their own hands, and get their will on the ballot. But what it's being used now is a way for outside interest groups to be able to try to transform Alaska. Yeah. And it's being used against the people. So I just say be very cautious of ballot initiatives, because we have the legislature that is governed by the people. The people have a hand in that process. It's slower for a reason, so that we can ask questions and provide the check and balance, and that I'm accountable to you, where a ballot measure, they can just pick up and move on.
Yeah, well, and we've seen across the nation, it's not just an Alaska problem. We've seen activist groups across the nation engaging in the ballot measure issue with states that allow that by their constitution, that they are driving that narrative in a lot of ways. They're trying to get changes made, fundamental changes made at the They're pouring millions of dollars into states like Arizona and others where they or maybe it was Nevada, that had the same kind of thing where they were legalizing certain things, trying to ban putting gun laws on there through ballot initiatives and everything else. It is a slippery slope. We need to be very cautious on that for sure. And I would love to have some further conversations on that for sure. But 10 seconds up. Hold the line here, Sarah. We're going to be right back to you. Sarah Vance is our guest. Please subscribe and ring the bell. Subscribe, ring the bell right now on YouTube. Let's get back into it. The Michael Duke Show, common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio. Let's do it. All right, Sarah Vance is our guest, GOP state rep for District 31, soon to be District 6. Of course, we got the election coming up and the primary, which is really useless except for one district in the whole state, because everybody on the primary is going forward into the general. So we'll see what that runs out to. But we were just talking about highs and lows in these last sessions, and Sarah mentioned, the organization. And what do you think, Sarah? I mean, we have fully a third of the legislature that has decided basically to not run anymore. And I had some interesting conversations with both Republicans and Democrats who have decided to pull the plug. And, I think the one theme that came across from both sides was that just exhausting. This whole process, especially with all the contention and the leadership not wanting to really fix the problem, is that a lot of the rank and file, they're just exhausted because it's just, you're like, bickering and like you said, quibbling over where a comma goes. It's tiring. Is there a chance that this can change in this next cycle? I mean, for reals? Are we going to see the possibility
There
of
is a very possibility of this changing, but it's up to us, right? It's up to the people and who they send. First of all, are they going to send people who are going to do the will and who are going to be good team players? That really matters. And this year, if we step back for a moment and take a look, we have an opportunity this year to transform our entire state government. We have the governors, the executive branch is up for re-election. We have our U.S. Senate, our U.S. congressmen, all but one legislator is up for re-election. So we get to shuffle the entire deck this year. So the big question is, what do we want it to look like? I think there's a great possibility that the people can send a good, strong governing body, and we can get our work done on time. We can come to agreements. But the reality is, I think the hard decisions are here. They're now. And I think that's why a lot of people stepped away, is because there's no more road to kick the can down.
Right. Oh, these are the rats abandoning. They could see that the iceberg's ahead, and they're like, "Nope, we're out of here," kind of thing.
I really think so.
Yeah. So we know that the ship's about to hit the rocks, and they're like, "Nope, got to get out before." And we've been saying that for years, that they've been kicking the can down the road, and when it eventually comes to an abrupt halt, there's going to be a lot of people left holding the bag, going, "Whoops." Some of you will be saying, "We've told you so," but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily help, right? The "we told you so" movement is not going to necessarily help the situation moving forward. If the legislature changes, if the organization and the Republicans come back in a majority, I'm assuming you guys are going to hold true to your idea again of no binding caucus, which might make it attractive for some Democrats to come on board with you, so that they can work through some of those things as well. Am I right? Or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it'll be interesting. No binding caucus, but there also has to be some boundaries, some rules of engagement, right? Just like we voted to remove David Eastman from our caucus. He's a great conservative and shares in our values and principles. But at the same time, if you can't play nice in the sandbox, maybe you need to sit out for a little while and be a team member.
Right.
There was just so much controversy within the team with him being there. Because, and I've said it before, I get along with David. I consider him a friend. But that's a hard vote, because we still have to manage our own, and we have to govern within. If we can't govern ourselves, there's no way that we can govern the state.
Well, right. If you're going to play as a team, you can't have a rogue player, even if they're, it's like a basketball, right? I mean, you could have the best player in the world, NBA-style material, on a high school team, but if he can't play to the team's benefit, to the whole team's benefit, he can't run the whole court himself. It doesn't, it doesn't make any sense. So no matter how good a player they are, they've got to work within the framework of that team to make it work. And, I agree. Like I said, I've agreed with probably 90% of what David believes in. The problem is I agree with only about 20% of the way that he tries to execute it. And I think that's problematic for a lot of people.
That was a hard deal, but we, when you're asked, how do you can justify moving on, it's that we can't accomplish anything without working together.
Right.
And I advocated that he remain on his committees, because I'm on state affairs and judiciary committees with him. He's a very valuable member. And I was really glad that I advocated for that, because we were dealing with the election bill. And he's able to ask some great questions. But so just because we chose to not have him in our caucus at the time doesn't mean that we weren't working together on larger issues. Right. So I just want to highlight that to people. He was still able to represent his district. That did not change.
But as far as trying to make sure that we are unified in being able to accomplish what we can, especially as a minority, the the stakes will be much higher as a governing body in the majority, and we have to be unified. Doesn't mean that we have to be a binding caucus, but we still have to be able to have some rules of engagement.
Right. No, I agree with that. All right. So if the, House majority does come about, the Republican majority in the House, you're going to have some priorities, I'm sure, to work through and work on. The big question, of course, on many people's mind is the PFD. I mean, we really came close this year for the first time of getting a full statutory PFD, which I think shocked a lot of the people, including some of the leadership. They were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. They were only able to pull that back from the brink, barely kind of thing. What do you, is that one of your high priorities if you guys come in as a majority, being able to, put the people's first call on the money as it's supposed to have been, as it was written, in the original statute? Is that a priority for Sarah Vance?
It is a priority for me because I actually believe in the historical formula. I believe in the dividend program. I've continued to ask the question of our district of if the conversation keeps going to the 50-50 of the POMV plan, which is what is being distributed this year. And if that's the agreement that we can have to be able to have any dividend, how do you want me to vote on it? Because ultimately, I'll do the will of the people.
Right.
And people are saying, don't move.
Right.
Just stay where you're at.
Well, because we
not had an overwhelming group of people tell me to go with the 50-50.
Right, because we saw what happened. I mean, people were like, okay, you guys aren't willing to budge off the full statutory. We'll compromise and meet you halfway at the 50-50. And they're immediately like, okay, great, 75-25. Well, that's not how compromise works. I mean,
Exactly.
And they're not willing to play ball on that. So why should you have to come off your full statutory position if they're not going to do it? Besides the fact that it's right. That's the thing. I mean, the whole thing is right. It's what the framers intended. It's the whole point of it. Now, that will cause some problems in the state budgeting process because they're using a lot of that money that doesn't belong to them to fund state programs and state government. That means there's going to have to be some chiseling somewhere else, right? Or new revenues. I mean, they're going to have to, it's either going to have to be cuts or taxes to offset a full PFD going back to the people as it should. What's your position on that? I mean, where do we stand on that?
Well, my position on that is that we first need to let go of the lie that in order to have our statutory dividend, that we have to choose between government services like our roads being plowed and schools in order to have our dividend. I don't know that question is ever put to anyone who is gets dividends from a corporation, right?
Right.
You get the dividend. That is just, it's not questioned. It's formula driven for a reason. And the question isn't, do you want taxes or do you want your dividend? We get our dividend because it's from the earnings. And then we have the conversation of what's the size of government, scope of government that you want and how much are you willing to pay for that?
I mean, I couldn't agree with that more. I mean, we see the same thing at the local levels, right? We see, the question is, do you want your music programs and your after school stuff, or do you want, they're always threatening the most provocative and the most harmful program, and they're using it as an example. If we don't get the money, then we have to cut these programs. No, you don't have to cut those programs. There's plenty of other stuff that you could cut. You're cutting the most high-profile, high-visibility programs. You're threatening us in this case with our roads and safety and things like that because it's the only way you want to get our attention. It's the only way you think you're going to get it through. And quite honestly, some of that is working, Sarah. I've talked to a lot of people like, well, I don't want to pay taxes and get a dividend. I don't want to pay taxes for a dividend. Well, you don't if you put the right people in there. But that's what it comes down to. You could be for cuts. Kevin could be for cuts. Prax could be for cuts. I don't know. A bunch of you could be for cuts. But if there's not enough, then nothing happens. There's not enough political will to move it across the finish line.
Correct. And we have to look at adjusting our tax structure to strengthen the economy so that we can have more revenue flowing into the state. We need to understand what it takes to have revenue and a strong economy. And right now, there's no direct link in the legislature to building a strong economy. We need to go back to Economics 101.
Right. Well, and I mean, I couldn't agree with you more on that. We need to look at those. We need to look at those things, and we need to analyze it properly instead of just. Well, the problem here, the main problem, is that we've got two laws in conflict. We've got the statutory law, and we've got the POMV draw. And the POMV draw really was the beginning of the end for the permanent fund dividend itself because of the way it's structured. So now I know that there's a bigger call for people to say, maybe we need to revisit SB 26 and reverse the POMV. Have you had any thoughts on that? Quickly here, we got about 2 minutes.
I have. I've not been a supporter of the POMV because I see that that's how they transformed the mindset about the permanent fund. And we need to evaluate that.
I would hope so. I think we need to analyze it. I mean, in 1999, in what they classified as the first rate on the permanent fund, that was the question. Should they turn it into a POMV? 83% of Alaskans said no, for a reason. There were a lot of reasons why, but for a reason, they said no. Senate went ahead and pushed it. They got it passed back in 2014. That was the whole thing, and that was the beginning of the end for things when it comes to the dividend. We're going to continue with Sarah Vance here, but we are up against the break, and so we're going to continue. She's going to pour herself another cup of beard curler coffee, although she doesn't have any right now, I don't think. I think she's out. So we'll be delivering some beard curler coffee down to the peninsula here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So maybe we'll slip a bag or two to Sarah Vance over there. We got more coming up. The Michael Duke Show continues. We got more with Sarah right after this. Don't go anywhere. Common sense, liberty-based, free-thinking radio.
Your mental suppository. The Michael Duke Show.
Yeah, buddy. I heard her pour that cup of coffee, and I thought, I bet she's out of beard curler coffee. I bet she's got no more.
I'm excited about your mugs and your swag coming in.
Yeah.
I really am.
I got it all ordered. It's all, and in fact, I ordered it in 2 batches. So I actually got the first batch yesterday of stuff, and then I was able to order a bunch of the mugs and everything. So it's all should be here hopefully by next week, and then I guess I'm going to be delivering it out to a bunch of people in the Valley and Anchorage, and then I'm supposed to be coming down to Homer on the weekend of the 23rd. So a couple 2.5 weeks from now, we'll see if I actually am able to make it down there. I'm definitely coming down in August. So one way or the other, we're going to have it in the next few weeks, and I will deliver it to folks down on the peninsula who want to meet up with me as I travel through. And we got mugs, we got hats. We got mugs, we got T-shirts. I'm gonna have. I did get another full case of coffee, so it was a dry spell. I'll be honest with you. I was a little bummed myself because I didn't have my own coffee for like 4 months, and I was jonesing. So, but now we've got the supply chain back online, so we're all good to go. It'll be good. Let's see. Let me go back here through the chat room a little bit to see some of the comments that I can share with Sarah. Fackle is Eastman and Kirk is Emma. I mean, again, that's kind of this adversarial relationship inside the team never works. I mean, that's part of the problem. And hopefully, this next session, that won't be as big a deal, especially if they're in the majority. I mean, they're still, hopefully, they're learning to play well with others. POMV is wrong for a dividend. It's right for a retirement plan, wrong for a dividend. And I think that's a great analysis, Sarah. I think that you're right. If it's a retirement or an annuity where you're trying to draw a set amount and keep the principal intact and everything else, that's great. But a dividend program is different. It's built differently, and I think that's a great analogy.
Right, and if you listen to the conversations in the legislature, the corporation and legislators have been referring it to as is an endowment fund. And I'm like, whoa, since when?
Right.
And that's why this is what all the other endowment funds are doing, is this POMV, so that we don't overspend. And I'm like, it never was a problem before. That's why the dividend formula is a formula-driven program.
Exactly.
It was never a political question before.
Right, exactly. Well, and that's exactly it. And in fact, it prevented them from overspending because the money was in the ERA. It prevented them from overspending because it would never touch the corpus of the fund. And now we've got a potential to draw into the actual corpus, and it could be dangerous. And of course, we hear this whole talk about, well, what we really need to do is have the fund at $100 million, and then government would be self-sustaining. Wait a second. That's not the purpose of the fund. There should be no disconnect between the people and the funding of government. They should have a stake in this. And when you start manipulating and taking away the PFD, you're basically cutting them out of the loop. And I think that that's wrong.
And why do we ever want government self-sustaining? That sounds like a dangerous proposition.
Especially if the fund continues to grow, and let's say just with market growth, and it goes from 100 to 102 to 105 to 109 to 110, and government just keeps taking its 5% and growing right alongside of it. And of course, by that time, we fully expect that the PFD will probably be gone at that point. And, they're fat, dumb, and happy. They don't have to listen to the people at all because they're being funded completely by outside sources. And where's the cushion if the market goes bad? Where's the cushion for that? They have no plan for that.
And there's no connection to the economy,
right,
which is people driven.
Yeah.
And that's the major concern right there, is that we have to have our state government funded in relationship to the people who produce. And right now, we're set up to be trust fund babies.
Right. Well, I think it would be, I think a repeal of SB 26 would be a huge first step into fixing this PFD problem. I mean, there would be no conflict at that point, and it would have to fall back on that statutory formula, and it would change the whole dynamic. I mean, the whole dynamic changed when SB 26 went into effect. And this would reverse that back to where we were, and hopefully, I think, put us back on track.
Definitely would be a broader conversation of a full fiscal plan, which is what we need. We've already had that conversation. Now we have to have the will to do it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree on that. Sarah Vance is our guest, GOP State Rep, District 31, soon to be District 6. We're going to talk a little bit about the campaign here. We're 30 seconds out from rejoining, so we'll talk about the campaign and where things go from here. And we'll see what else she has up her sleeve, so to speak, as we go through. Folks, ding! Please subscribe and ring the bell. If you haven't, we're here. Got 45 people in here. Subscribe, ring the bell, and let's bring it all down and get back to it. Here we go. The Michael Duke Show. Common Sense Radio. Sarah Vance, our guest, GOP state rep for currently District 31, soon to be District 6. Talking a little bit now about the campaign season ahead of us. We were just talking about the PFD, how that is really going to be a cornerstone, I think, of any real campaign. Budgets, obviously budget-driven. So outside of PFDs and the budget, Sarah, what are you focusing on? What are you hearing from your constituency as you move forward on this? What are going to be the hot-button issues for the people you represent?
Well, we've already talked about it, is fixing our election law. That is something that I hear the most, is that we have to fix it. We have to get our voter rolls cleaned up. And that's something that I've continued to work on. That's definitely a priority. And being able to move forward on that, and just getting it done, go in, get it done hot and fast. And it's, I really commend Shower for the work that their office has done over the past several years, because they've been able to listen to the voice of the opposition and say, okay, well, let's lay all the partisan stuff aside and let's talk about what is it that you want, and finding out that we want a lot of the same things and being able to get there. So once you lay aside a lot of the drama, we all of us want better elections. We want it to be reliable. We want it to be consistent. We want to know that our vote is going to count. And that's something that I'm hearing that we have to fix. So that's clearly my top priority that I'm hearing over and over. On a less sexy note, abandoned vehicles. I hear from my district consistently, and that has been one of the things that I'm like, I just want to clean up my district.
Right.
We are such a beautiful state, especially my district, just gorgeous here in the Cook Inlet and Kachemak Bay. And I don't want it to look like a Democrat-run city. So I've been cleaning up abandoned vehicles, and I am so pleased that we got money in the abandoned vehicle fund specifically to be able to clean up abandoned vehicles across the state because fire season is always a concern. So when I'm driving, I will like put a note in my phone of mile marker 146,
right.
Call the borough so that I can get that taken care of, because it matters. Those things are like the basic functions of government that we need to be doing. And it's simple things like that I hear from, and our roads, of course.
Well, and here's my thing with the abandoned vehicles. I think that the state shouldn't have to fund that kind of stuff. What the state should do, what the legislature should do, is give some kind of statutory authority to a rolling list of salvage companies that says if the thing has been abandoned on the road for more than 96 hours or whatever, they have the statutory authority to go pick the vehicle up and to claim title on it and to do what they want with it. And, that, to me, that would make a lot more sense than paying the state to give it and then ended up at the wrecking yards anyway. I think that would make a lot more sense than having to expend a bunch of money to do it. But hey, I know I've worked in that industry, and I know those guys can make some money if they haul a car away that's still got good parts on it. So, but one way or the other, you're right. Getting them off the road is an important deal. So PFDs, budgets, elections, abandoned vehicles, beautifying the place. I think we need to get back to the basics, Sarah, of what is mandated by the Constitution, what is nice to have versus what is must-haves. And I think we've lost our way in that function in the state here. I mean, we spent billions of dollars. I loved how everybody suddenly became a fiscal conservative this year when they said, well, we couldn't spend on that PFD. This is our largest budget ever. We're spending more money than, even though we put a lot of money away and everything, we've just been, these are the same people that spent 18 billion dollars over the last 5 years out of savings. And those budgets were just fine. But the minute that we have a surplus and we want to spend on, I find that ironic.
Right. Very much so. And notice that the budget went back to conference committee, it wasn't all of those additional things that got cut. It was the people's dividend.
Right.
And I don't think that got past very many people. The irony of that, there were still the diving boards and the ridiculousness. But, that's why we have an election, is to be able to hold them accountable at the ballot box.
Right.
And I'm just encouraging everyone, pinch your nose with ranked choice and just get out there anyway, because we still have an opportunity to win this.
Yeah, just rank the red and get it done this go around. There's plenty of things we could pull out of the budget. You've mentioned diving boards. That was a pet peeve of mine. Those are municipal facilities funded by the state originally, but they're still municipal facilities. I think the community should be responsible for that. But I guess that's a nitpicky thing for me. But let's get down here. We're into the last few minutes. The campaigning is on. The season has started. Obviously, we have the primary coming up here in August. Are you having events? Are you having, what are you doing to go out and reach out to your electorate to talk to them? How do people find out about you, meet and greets, et cetera? What are you doing this campaign season?
I encourage people to go to my Facebook page, Vote Sarah Vance, to see what I have going on. I will be at the Trump rally this weekend to be there with all my freedom-loving Americans. And then on Sunday, the 10th, there will be a viewing of 2,000 Mules by Dinesh D'Souza at Christian Community Church here in Houma on Bartlett Street, 4 o'clock, the viewing of 2,000 Mules. And then at 6:30, I will be hosting Heaven and Government to talk about the SCOTUS decisions and how they could possibly impact Alaska and how to pray, because people are like, what do we do now? So then Monday, the 11th, 7 o'clock is a second viewing of 2,000 Mules if you're not able to be there on Sunday. And then on Thursday, the 14th, I have a fundraiser, my campaign kickoff at the Maritime Helicopter Hangar at 5 o'clock. We're going to have burgers and have a great time. Beautiful helicopters at their hangar. And I'm encouraging everyone to put out your campaign sign. I know a lot of you are holding on to your Vote Vance sign. Now's the time to put it out to show your colors.
Yeah, go out there, and it always tickles me when I drive down through the highway down there towards Homer, and I start seeing the signs pop up. A lot of Sarah Vance supporters down in the peninsula, and I'm glad to see it. And I hope that you continue to go back. I know you've been working hard on this stuff, and it's not easy because you're away from your family for quite a bit. And like you said, this is the first summer in 4 years you've actually been able to stay home for the summer, which is, I guess that's a good thing. I guess the one blessing of political season is nobody wants to be in special session during political season. So I guess that's good for you. All right, Sarah, final thoughts. I posted it up. It's facebook.com/Sarah Vance Homer, and you can go over there and take a look at the Facebook page and get the details of where the campaign kickoffs are and everything else, including, as you mentioned, next Thursday, the 14th at the Maritime Hangar. Final thoughts here, Sarah. I'll give you the last 2 minutes for your elevator pitch for those who may be on the fence about Sarah Vance and what's going on.
Well, my elevator pitch, if you're listening to the Michael Duke Show and you're on the fence about me, I will pray for you. But
okay, that's true. You probably are preaching to the choir here. I just,
Right. But man, it's so good to connect with everybody again and be back home. So I miss you and can't wait to connect with everybody here in the community and just be encouraged about the election and, get your friends in the process. So reach out to me. You know how to get a hold of me, and, we can go for coffee or whatever. I love connecting with you and just hearing your concerns because you are my priority.
Right. Well, maybe, and if you want, maybe while I'm down there in August, I'll be there the weekend before elections. Maybe we can get together and say hi, and maybe listeners and everybody can come by and shake your hand and see or something. We could figure something out for that. So you got my support, Sarah. I think it's important, and I appreciate you coming on board this morning and sharing with us.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, hold the line for just a second. Folks, we're out of time. Tomorrow is another day. We're going to have folks from the Alaska Policy Forum on tomorrow to talk about education. That is the one bleeding hole in our budget for sure that we might be able to find some ways to plug up. We'll talk with them about that. Potentially some other folks as well. We're working on more political figures. It's going to be a busy week. We will see you. Have a great day. All right, Sarah, anything that I didn't get to that I should have gotten to, your final thoughts here before I let you go.
Well, if you're going to the Trump rally, this is not about Trump. This is about being with other like-minded people who want to preserve our state and our nation.
Support for Tshibaka and everything. Yeah.
Yes. I'm going to be having my family wear our Vote Vance shirts. If you have one, pull one out. If you'd like one, let me know. I'm going to be seeing how many we can get printed up today so that we can represent and just really show that we're united. I'm super excited because we don't get the opportunity to get together and rally as a state like this.
Right. No, exactly. And anybody that would love to represent, get a hold of Sarah, and she'll get you squared away. I'm double XL, by the way, just in case. So it's good stuff. Sarah Vance, GOP State Rep District 31, again on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Vance Homer. Sarah, thanks for coming on board. It's good to talk with you. We'll give you 2 or 3 weeks. We'll have you back again, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks for coming on board. Folks, That's it. We're out. Have a great day. Be kind to one another, love one another, and live well. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
We've shed our terrestrial radio skin, and now we are slimy lizard internet people. It's the Michael Duke Show.